Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing really well. Hope everyone's tapers are going really well. And I've been really happy with all of the comments that you guys have been sending to my videos, and that, you know, I'm really grateful that you've been watching. And you know, I'm not anyone who has any you know, professional background on this stuff. I just have done research and I'm going through it myself. So you know, I want to make that disclaimer that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist or anything. All I'm doing is just sharing my experience and the things that I've learned and am learning. And I think a lot of you guys are doing the same thing, which is awesome. Another disclaimer I just want to make on this video is in the comments, I really do appreciate them. However, I would just love for you guys to make sure that you watch the whole video, or if you are watching my first video, just to catch yourself up on maybe some of my other videos since the first akathisia video. Just because sometimes I feel like maybe people aren't watching the whole video, so they'll watch maybe a few minutes of it or 5 minutes of it and then comment something that I actually addressed later on in the video, or I've addressed in other videos. So doing that would be really awesome. But I'm just glad you guys are watching at all anyway. Not that I'm wanting this channel to be some huge thing, I just would like to help as many people as I can, because I think that's what we need to be doing in this time when we're going through this kind of stuff, and in this day and age we just need to be helping each other. And there's a lot of other accounts and people doing that out there, which is really good also. So there's you know, a lot of other resources that we can go to now, whereas back in the day people really didn't have a lot of places to go to, or people to ask, or talk to people about these things. So opening conversations is just what I'd like to do. And yeah, but if everyone could just watch the whole video, or catch themselves up with my videos since the first one, just to get a better idea of where I'm at now. And the purpose of this channel is to educate. It's not to, and also to give hope. It's not to bring anyone down, or to yeah, that's the only reason I'm doing these videos. But yeah, thank you all for watching. So that's just a couple of disclaimers I want to put out there. This video is going to be basically about some misconceptions of benzo withdrawal and benzo use. And I think this video is really important because there is a lot of preconceived ideas about people using benzos and people in benzo withdrawal that aren't true, that aren't correct, that paint the users in a particular light, which is not necessarily fact. So that's the first reason I wanted to do this video. The second reason is because a lot of people don't have the correct information, and so when they're going through something, they are taking the words of people who have either had just really bad experiences, and maybe those experiences are because they've just had a bad experience, or because they haven't been educated, someone hasn't educated them about the best way to do it, and so they're hearing horror stories, and I don't know, everything's just so all over the place with in regards to benzo use and benzo withdrawal. So these are some of the common things that people say somebody who's never even used a benzo, you know, they would have no idea about this stuff. They just go on what they've heard from the news or from movies or something, and that's just something that I want to address. I think that needs to be addressed, and hopefully there's other people that have already addressed it as well. So the first one is a really important one, really important. Not everybody who uses a benzo and has used a benzo was addicted to that benzo and is addicted to a benzo. I think when the first thing that people think when you tell them you're coming off a benzo, you're tapering off a benzo, you're in withdrawal of a benzo, is, oh, they must be, you know, addicted to this drug. Because yes, they are addictive drugs, and yes, there are people out there who abuse them. But for the majority of us, we are just people who have been told to take something. We are taking it the exact dose that the doctor has prescribed. We have never abused it, and we find ourselves in this strange position where we're sick now, and it's not from us doing the wrong thing. We're not drug addicts. We're not bad people. We're not criminals. These, you know, we are people who can range from teenagers to elderly people. Anybody can become a victim of a benzo, and by victim I mean the benzo has in one way or another destroyed someone's life, whether you have become tolerant of it, which is what happened to me, and I've had to withdraw, or they've had to come off, or they've just wanted to come off because they don't think they need it anymore, and they found themselves in this horror of withdrawal. That's the first one I want to get off my chest because, you know, I feel that that's the main consensus is if you're on a benzo, you know, you just have to say the word Valium or Xanax and people all of a sudden just, oh, right, yeah, I get it. You know, you're one of those people. No, we're not. There are people who do abuse these pills, and but it's a minority, and most of us are just doing the right thing. That's all I want to say about that. The second one is that people say, okay, well, you're wanting to come off this drug. Just come off this drug. Just stop taking it. Just go cold turkey. I did. No, you should not ever come off a benzo cold turkey. First of all, yes, people have come off cold turkey, and if you are lucky enough, if you know, it's all depending on your DNA and your nervous system and just the way your genes are put together on how you're going to go coming off it. But yes, there have been people who can quit cold turkey and be okay, or have some side effects for a little while and then just be completely fine. But that coming off cold turkey should never be promoted. You are at risk of grand mal seizures and at risk of horrendous depression leading to suicide, psychosis, all sorts of things. You should never come off cold turkey. But yes, there are people that have, and yes, there are people who have been lucky enough to come off without those things. But no, you cannot just stop. You should not just stop taking them. That's the second one. And that might be, some people might have a problem with that one because, I've had an experience where I just came off it and I was fine. That's great for you, but it's not something that should ever be promoted to other people, because coming off benzos cold turkey have killed people. So let's not do that. That's your choice to do that if you would like to, but any doctor in their right mind will tell you that that is dangerous and should never be done. Also, there is no one-size-fits-all plan to taper your benzo. There are quite a few different plans you can follow, or you can just do your own thing with your doctor, but everybody is made up completely different from the next person. Your genetic makeup is completely different, and what plan might work for one person will probably not work for the next person. I went for the Ashton method, which is one of the most widely used methods now, and even I had to make changes because I could not follow it without being incredibly sick. So you really need to, in my opinion, taper, how can I describe it? Just custom your taper. And it's going to be a lot of trial and error. But once you find the right type of thing that you want to do, whether you want to titrate it, whether you want to cut and hold, whatever you want to do, if you want to get a scale and just micro taper, that's fine. But just because it's worked for you doesn't mean it will work for another person. So I do promote the Ashton method because it's a general good baseline one to follow. But once you're on it, you are completely free to custom design it to what works for you. And if it just doesn't work, if you're one of those people that it just doesn't work for, then there are other things to try. But so there is just no one size fits all fix for withdrawing off benzos. And don't feel bad if something doesn't work for you. It's just your makeup, your genetic makeup. It's just not for you. That's fine. Also, I've had people say, have you tried this drug to help you come off withdrawing? Have you tried this one? Have you tried, one of the big ones is gabapentin. Have you tried that one? The best way for your body, this is from research from proper medical journals, the best way to withdraw off a drug is to just leave yourself alone. Just take as minimal amount of other things as possible. If you're putting something like gabapentin into your withdrawal regime, it will eventually become something that you have to taper off again. So you're in another kind of withdrawal. Or same as, withdrawing with, say, a antidepressant. A lot of people do that, and for some people it does work, like it helps with the symptoms. But if you don't want to be on that for the rest of your life, then don't get on it in the first place. That's just my opinion, because it's going to be something else that you're going to have to taper off in the end. And that can also cause really horrible side effects. So, I think we should all try not to put onto people extra things that might cause future problems down the track. yeah, you know, what works for somebody might not work for another person. So people like to say maybe try some cannabis oil, things like that. That might work for you, but for another person it can make them feel really sick. It can make them feel really out of it. It can just have the wrong effect. So we should all be careful of what we're suggesting to other people, is basically what I'm saying. So also when people decide to come off a benzo, a lot of times people will just automatically resort to, okay, I'm going to go to a rehab. From personal experience, it's not a good idea. Again, it depends on your body. You can give it a crack. I did. I was on 30 milligrams of Valium and taken off 10 milligrams in one day. It almost killed me, literally. And I was put into a psych ward. And even after telling them everything that I was going through, my psychiatrist still wanted to take me off 5 milligrams every 3 days. Every 3 days. How somebody who is meant to have so much knowledge about the brain and the effects of medications on the brain can tell somebody that is not harmful is beyond me. Your brain will be sent into shock. It goes into shock, and the neural pathways do not know how to handle it. That's why people have psychosis. That's why people go insane. That's why people kill themselves. That's why people have seizures. And so if you're going to go to rehab, they don't want you there long. So they're going to want to get you in and out pretty much as quickly as possible, even in the private ones like I've been to. And trust me, it is a horrible, horrible experience. I will never forget that experience. It's really, really just not a good thing to promote. But if you want to be like me and just give it a crack, go ahead. But from personal experience, it is not safe. And a lot of good standing psychiatrists will tell you it is not a good thing to do, and that slower is the best way to go. But man, there are some psychiatrists out there who just, I don't know where their head is. And also, I've had people comment on my videos where they've said, I was on 2 milligrams of Xanax for this amount of time, and I had a horrific time coming off of it. And I've had people that are like me, that have had a larger amount, even larger, that have also had a really horrible time coming off it. So another misconception is that if you're on a small dose, you're not going to feel it as much. Unfortunately, again, depending on your genetic makeup, that's not necessarily true. You can still have a really hard time coming off of any amount of a benzo. And also no matter how long you've been on it. So a lot of people will say, that they've had a hard time because they've been on it for X amount of years. I was on my benzo for 4.5 months, my shorter acting benzo, before I hit tolerance. 4.5 months. There are people out there who have been on it for 30, 40 plus years, and I don't know how they haven't hit tolerance. But it's, so somebody who's been on it for, a little amount of time or a long amount of time, for some reason we can still have the same horrible withdrawal, because it's just our makeup, it's just our body, and our body for some reason is extra sensitive. One thing that I find interesting is I have been on benzos before as a PRN, so I could take half, I could take 1 milligram of Valium to go to sleep at night every 4 days whenever I needed it, that type of thing. I was never really put on it as a everyday dose kind of thing. It was more of when a panic attack arises, or for when I have insomnia or something. And for some reason, back then, this was when I was a teenager, 17, 18 maybe, up to when I was 22, I think I was using them, on and off. And I was fine getting off them. There was no problem. There was no withdrawal symptoms. I did not notice it at all. But, I wonder if my akathisia has, had made me so sensitive to everything. It just sent my system into some kind of shock that I became really, really sensitive. And now my body's just, it doesn't know what to do with itself. And that's why it's been so hard for me to come off this after such a short amount of time. So yeah, there are some people who just abuse the heck out of benzos, and they drink a lot of alcohol, they smoke weed, they take a whole bunch of other drugs as well, but for some reason they can just stop it, and it's nothing for them. So it's really interesting. I find that very interesting, how different we all are, and there's no shame in not being able to do that. Yeah, it's frustrating. This is going to be, an 18-month, 2-year journey for me to come off of something that I wasn't even meant to be put on in the first place. And I wish that I could just stop. I wish that I could just get off, but it's not going to happen. And I've accepted that. And I have just accepted that there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing we can do about it. We can't change our makeup or what's happened in our bodies to make us so sensitive. We can't change it. Don't feel bad about it. Just accept it. And just be supportive to other people who are going through it. And if you're somebody who is a family member of someone who's going through it, then just do your research and try and understand it as best as you can, because it's hard for someone in our position to explain what we're feeling. It really is. The other misconception is that after your taper, you will be fine, you'll be healed. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's not the case. Sometimes it will take your body, after you take your last dose. I mean, how exciting is that going to be, taking your last dose of a benzo after how many years of taking them and trying to get off them? But sometimes your body will take a while to adjust to get back to homeostasis. Some people have felt fine after maybe a few weeks, but for some people, they can still feel symptoms for quite a while. And so, I think I had my hopes up before I knew about this, that once I'd finished my taper, that everything is going to be fine. I'm going to be back to normal. I'm going to be living the life I used to live. But I'm not going to pin my hopes on that. I'm going to hope for it, but I'm not going to pin everything on it, because my brain just might not work that way, and it might take a while for my brain to settle down and to get rid of all of the symptoms. Why it happens like that, I don't know, but your brain, I think, has been through a lot of trauma, a lot of up and downs, you know, it's just been through heaps, and I think that's why it takes some people some extra time to find that place where they're okay again, because yeah, it's just been a big roller coaster ride, and your brain's gone like, what the heck has happened to me, and it needs to find its baseline again. I think that's just the best way that I can describe it. So those are just some misconceptions and things that I think that we need to take into consideration with our benzo withdrawals. Also, as I say in most of my videos, surround yourself with positivity, and try not to listen to the horror stories. You know, there's some people I've had to unfollow and things like that because they've just brought me down when I need to be lifted up. Since the last video, you know, I've dropped again, and it's been a really strange drop. I've heard of people talk a lot about different symptoms and how you think that you're gonna die because these symptoms are so scary, and I'm like, really? Are you being like a little dramatic? No, they're not. Like, they're really scary symptoms. I had breast pain. I thought I had some kind of breast cancer. Luckily that's settled down. I have had chest pain, so I thought I'm gonna have a heart attack. I've had numbness and tingling and pins and needles in my arms. I thought I'm having a stroke. There's just been lots and lots of things, and you know, some days I'll be okay, and other days I'll just be completely bedridden, and you know, some of the akathisia comes back and things like that, and it's just been all over the place this last drop. So there really is no, you know, and some drops have been way better. So, you know, don't be discouraged if one drop is one way and the next drop is another way. I can't explain to you why it is that way. All I know is that when you're in that place of withdrawal where you feel like there's no way out, that you're never going to get better, that everything is hopeless, that there will come a day very soon where that wave will lift and you will see windows, and you'll be like, okay, yep, I remember this. This is good. This is where I want to be. And that's just the nature of withdrawal. It is up and down. It is a roller coaster. And hats off to everybody else who is going through it. Anyway, I hope this video has been somewhat helpful for people. I think a lot of people have already done a lot of research, but I think there's, you know, obviously still people who are new to this and who have no idea. Their doctors, just like me, never really told them what could happen after they start taking this medication. So you know, I just aim to try and help people as much as I can. That's all I want to do, and we're all going to be okay in the end. We're going to find our lives back to normal one day, even on the days that you can't see it happening ever. Keep telling yourself that, and surround yourself with good, positive people if you can, if you have that around you, then just utilize it as much as possible. I tend to hide away and become a bit of a hermit crab. I get a lot of social anxiety when I'm withdrawing, so I have to kind of try and push myself past that to get out, even if it's just to sit outside for a bit around other humans. That's a good place to start. Anyway, love you all. I hope you're doing really well, and I'll see you in the next video. I don't think I really have much else to say other than stay positive and keep soldiering through. See you guys.